some of you will recognize this book. This is where I take my cocktail notes, whiskey notes, recipes I want to try, and then in this book, finalized originals. I was just taking some notes about a cocktail, one of the cocktails I designed for my bushcraft channel a bunch of years ago, before I really knew what I was doing. And in some ways I still don't know what I'm doing. I've bought books since then. I've watched many YouTubes. I've discussed the cocktail craft with several friends who are either bartenders or home bartenders. I'm Generation X. What does that mean? That means that I'm a child of the 70s. I grew up in the 70s and early 80s. That's when I sort of came of age. And the way alcohol is introduced to children in the 70s, or at least in the province of Quebec, was on your parents' lap. As a baby, when your parents would be talking to each other at parties or whatever, they would let you sort of gum the top of the beer bottle. And then as you progressed, you'd be allowed a sip of your dad's beer or your mom's wine or whatever. And while I was taking notes here, I had a memory. Those of you who know me well will know that I have virtually no childhood memories. But I did remember something. And it was ages ago. I was sitting on my dad's lap. I was not a baby. I don't know. But my dad was sitting with my uncles or something, and they were talking, and they had glasses in front of them. And I got up on my dad's lap, and I took a sip, and I said, Daddy, I don't like that beer. And he and my uncles all kind of laughed. Because it wasn't beer. What he was having, and they were all having, was whiskey. And it made me laugh a little bit, and I thought I would tell you guys that story as a way to maybe introduce this bottle that I've never seen before. In the province of Quebec right now, you cannot buy an American whiskey. So there's a lot of really kind of interesting stuff showing up that I've never seen before. And this is one of those. I'm quite into Japanese whiskey. I'm not like obsessed with it. It's not my only thing or anything. But whenever I see a Japanese whiskey that I've never seen before, I think if it's affordable, let's give it a try. So this is called the Hatozaki Finest Blended Whiskey from the Kaikyo Distillery in Akashi City, Hyogo. It's the Yonezawa family. Distillers since 1917. Okay. Named after the Hatozaki Lighthouse, which is apparently the oldest stone lighthouse in Japan. There's a bunch of marketing piffle here. But what I did see, which was very interesting, considering how engineered a lot of Japanese whiskey is that right there, it says no coloring or chill filtration. It's 40%. That's usually not enough to make me pick up a bottle, but I was just compelled. So I'd like to give it a try with you guys. I didn't bring a bushcraft knife, so I'm just going to do it the way we're supposed to do it here. It's quite a light color. The light in here tends to give more amber than is actually there. This is a very light straw color. Cheers. There's a scotchiness to that, a blended scotch element. It's got sort of the vanillas and caramel and kind of honey notes that one would expect from, say, American oak. I don't know anything about this. It doesn't say anything about the oak. This was like $65 here in Quebec, so it's not going to be a Japanese oak beverage, that's for sure. So I'm just assuming ex-bourbon barrel. It's got, the kind of notes that you would expect from that. Bit of a grassy note on top. Fruity, juicy. Very nice. Very nice on the nose. Like, not a rock star of a whiskey, but a very pleasant, very friendly scent to it. There's caramel there, big caramel, big sort of butterscotch, something almost buttery, and a breadish note, or like a pastry note, barley sugar, marzipan at the back end, very creamy, very mouth friendly. This is a whiskey I could definitely have on my bar cart for if somebody comes over and doesn't know if they like whiskey or not. I would give them this, which is what I usually have my little whiskey from the barrel for. I think about that kid I used to be, climbed up on my dad's lap, discovered whiskey in that way, and what would that kid think of this bottle, or of me sitting here talking about whiskey with honest love in my heart for it. I don't think whiskey is just a drink. There's a magic to it. I don't mean that in a spiritual sense, or at least not any further than whiskey should be shared. I feel that is an integral part of the whiskey culture. It's not something that you sort of hoard to yourself and like, don't touch my bottle. There are people who feel that way, but I think that they're missing part of what whiskey culture is. And it's a lonely thing to drink a bottle by yourself. You know, I love it when somebody comes over and I can say, I got something for you to try, and then we enjoy it together and we discuss what that person may be picking up on the nose or the tongue, or we just sit there, enjoy a good dram and shoot the shift for an hour or two. That little kid who sat on my father's lap did not grow up to be effortlessly social, but I still love sharing my whiskey with other people. I do believe that that's what it's for. I love discovering new bottles that I've never seen before. I've made some very expensive mistakes that way, but this is not one of them. It's neither a mistake nor was it expensive. Today is my eldest daughter's birthday. She's 14. And children, by and large, even in the province of Quebec, don't discover beer and wine in the way that we did back in the 70s and early 80s. It's a different world. Old fogies like me will invariably say that this world is missing something. It's hollowed out in some way. It lacks the warmth and culture of the world that we grew up in. And it's easy to think that way. For me, computers were not something that I grew up with. It was something I had to learn. The internet was not something I grew up with. It was something I had to learn. The mobile phone was not something I grew up with. It was something I needed to learn. All of these things separate us from each other. It creates a whole different social environment, one that is ersatz. It's online. You don't sit with people and talk. You sit with a screen and talk to people through that lens or that filter. And that makes it harder to sit with someone and share a bottle of whiskey. So I'm doubly glad when, even in the world we live in, I can sit with somebody, have actual face time without capital F and capital T, and just enjoy a beverage. And I do hope that you all get ample opportunities to just sit with someone quietly or with raucous laughter and enjoy a drink together. Thanks for watching.